57.044. That's very, very impressive in these sort of damp, it's not quite wet, it's not quite dry conditions. That's a mighty lap time. Here comes Mark Thompson. Can he respond to that? He did have a 58.00 before. He's now got a 56.581. 56.581 for Mark Thompson with still 10 minutes of the session remaining. But it may be that this is as quick as it's going to be if the rain persists. But Mark Thompson does a 56.581 ahead of Michael Osborne on a 57.04. Adam Kindness now on a 58.8. And Andrew Cowie gets below 1 minute on a 59.894. Andrew Cowie in the number 23 car. Which is the Subaru. So it's Mark Thompson, Michael Osborne, Adam Kindness, Andrew Cowie, the top four. David Capstick is in fifth in the number one car as Michael Osborne heads towards the pit lane. Everybody going quicker at the moment. Everyone's previous lap was a personal best. So although we've had a bit of rain in the air, the track is not slowing down so far. Andrew Cowie chasing the Mini, the 88 Mini of Andrew Webster as they head down into the twisty section of the track. And he's easily dispatched the Mini. And Andrew Cowie remains the fourth of the four drivers to go under 1 minute. But tell you what, it's close though. And Adam Kindness, a 58.876. Just under a second ahead of Andrew Cowie, 59.894. Michael Osborne, 57.0. Mark Thompson, 56.5. So still a half a second advantage there for Mark Thompson. Windscreen wipers on the 64 car of David Wallace. He's done a 62.492. Similarly, the Peugeot with its windscreen wipers on, that's Craig Wallace. And he is up in 7th position at the moment. That's impressive. Andrew Cowie jumps up to 4th. Or maintains his position in 4th with a personal best 59.707. So he's getting quicker, but not yet quick enough to get into the top three. The yellow flag's out at Duffus. And withdrawn again, not quite sure what the problem was there. Adam Kindness just completing a lap, and he's done a best again, a 58.411 now for Adam Kindness. 58.411. So 56.58 for Mark Thompson in 101. Michael Osborne 92 does a 57.04. Then 58.411 for Adam Kindness. Andrew Cowie now a personal best as well on his last lap of 59.707. And that's about 3 seconds quicker than anybody else. David Wallace is the best of the rest in his Honda out of David Capstick's Renault Megane. And Craig Wallace in the mightier little Peugeot. Cowie heading into pit lane in the 23 car. Michael Osborne Sr. already there. And in comes the 15 of Craig Wallace, the little Peugeot as well. Gary Muir in the lovely little Audi TT is still going round. 1 minute 6.8 is his best so far. Adam Kindness coming through on a cool down lap. As the other Mini, the much smaller Mini, but the one with the Vauxhall engine, number 88, goes powering past. 64.886 Andrew Webster's best in the little Austin shaped Mini. So the 64 car of David Wallace comes into the pits. 62.492 is his best, about half a second ahead of David Capstick. And he is heading into the pits. I wonder if he's going to come back round again or whether he's going to go into the paddock from there. And he's heading into the paddock, so he's done what he thinks he can do. And he finishes exactly halfway up the order, 5th position. As Gary Muir goes through again in the 87 car, 66.8 remains his best time. Just 22 thousandths ahead of Giorgio Sorici in the Subaru. Michael Osborne back out on track after a brief pit visit, so let's see what he can do. He's probably going to need a couple of laps to build up to speed as Adam Kindness comes back in. Adam Kindness is best then so far, a 58.411, but Michael Osborne Senior on a 57.044. Let's see if he can beat that in the remaining moments of the session. We've got just over 4.5 minutes left of the 15. And after this we'll be on to the second Legends race of the afternoon. Legends Heat 2 is what's about to gather in the paddock holding area. So that will come out just after this session, followed by another Karting Legends demonstration, another Champions of Scottish car racing demo. Hopefully we'll get good weather for that and we'll get Stuart Robb out in the Pilbeam, but have to keep our fingers crossed that this track stays dry for that one. And then once that's done, we'll be into the Superlap Scotland final. So it's the same cars you're seeing on track now, but they'll be competing for the maximum championship points. And then we'll be into Mod Sports race, a Legends race, and Scottish Classic Sports and Saloons. So that's what's still to come this afternoon. But we've got 3 3/4 minutes left for this Superlap Scotland qualifying session. Mark Thompson still in front in the Radical, car number 101. Michael Osborne second in his Mitsubishi. Adam Kindness in the Mini third. And Andrew Cowie in the Subaru is fourth. All of those 4 cars under the 1 minute bracket. So Michael Osborne now beginning to push on a bit after that visit to the pits. He's come out, he's done a kind of build lap. Now he's on to the full fire fast lap. It's into Duffus, down through Leslie's. Through McIntyre's. Very smooth, undramatic lap so far. In fact, I'm just wondering if he's actually on a hot lap. I'm not sure that he is actually. I think he's slowed down a little bit. So Michael Osborne not quite going for glory at this stage. Craig Wallace still charging on in that Peugeot. 63.43 second lap is his best so far. It'll be fascinating to see if he can beat that. We've only got 2 minutes 10 of the session left as Craig comes up the hill to the line. He's got his headlights on, and he's about a second and a half away from his best there on that lap. Yeah, Michael Osborne on full speed this time, that's for sure. Much quicker over the start finish line and down the hill at Duffus into Leslie's and on to McIntyre's. Then down the hill from there through Butchers he goes, up over the chicane. Yes, although we had that splash of rain earlier in the session, it's not been enough to cause the track to deteriorate. So if anything, I think we're still in a position where the track's getting quicker and quicker. It's just a question of being on it at the right time to maximise the result. So Michael Osborne Senior heading into the hairpin. He's got the little Peugeot of Craig Wallace ahead of him, but not to the point it's going to cause him any delays before he gets to the start-finish line to complete this lap. Yeah, speed difference between a Peugeot and Mitsubishi Evo is quite substantial, as you can imagine. Michael Osborne improves then on his best. He's done a 56.397 now. 56.397 for Michael Osborne, so he is in first position then, just a couple of tenths ahead of Mark Thompson. And Adam Kindness 2 seconds adrift of them. Andrew Cowie's in fourth position, car 23, ahead of David Wallace, number 64 in the Honda. Then David Capstick's Renault, Craig Wallace's Peugeot, and in fact, as I say it, Dave Capstick has just gone quicker than Dave Wallace, so the track is drying out, and Dave Capstick's done a great job of just judging how much grip is now unlocked as the moisture moves off of the track. So David Capstick, a 1 minute 1.801, 6/10 quicker than Dave Wallace on a 1 minute 2.49. Michael Osborne, though, just coming at the hairpin now, he is quickest overall, a 56.397. So that's the checkered flag waving, and cars returning to pit lane. So Michael Osborne, the quickest, then the car 92 from Mark Thompson, car 101, and Adam Kindness, car 155. That's Mitsubishi Evo from Radical from Mini. Much modified Mini, it has to be said. And with that, we can look forward to the final then later on for these guys. So points are paid out there, obviously based on classes and things, but we'll see if the order changes at all when we get to the final. So the final for Superlap Scotland will be at 3:10, so just over an hour away from now. And we'll see these guys competing for the full championship points, 25 points for a class win available to them there. So in terms of who finished where in which class, Michael Osborne Sr. will be the quickest in the pro class, having been quickest overall. Mark Thompson, I'm not sure what class he's running in actually, could well be pro, but we'll get confirmation of that when the timekeepers send the final result through. I don't have that on my list here. Yes, I do actually, he's in Pro X. So Mark Thompson, Pro X. Michael Osborne and Pro, so they're both class winners. Adam Kindness, fastest in his class, which is class D in SLS, so he wins that one. Andrew Cowie, number 23, he's the one I don't have the class designation for, so we'll update you on that when he comes out. But David Capstick, I'm pretty sure will have won his class, which is class F for the Renault Megane. Right, we'll give you the full breakdown once we get it, but that gets us the form guide, the ultimate form guide, before we go to the Superlap Scotland final later on in the afternoon. Meanwhile, we've got a lot of legends lined up in the holding area, and with the track pretty much clear after a very well behaved session for SLS, we will be ready to go with legends fairly shortly. Right, so legends all lined up. This, of course, is the second heat, so the grid will be the reverse of the grid we had for the last race. So I'll quickly try and give you that. Right, so this is going to be interesting, this second Legends heat, because one of our habitual race winners is right at the front, pole position for Michael Weddle in car 77. Scott Smith, number 13, will be on the front row alongside him. Second row of the grid, we've got Murray Scott in 51 alongside Declan Burke in the 48 car. Fifth and sixth are going to be Gary Atkinson, number 6, and David Heaton in the white number 78 car. On the fourth row, we've got number 127, Phil Rowlands, and Ewan Robertson in the 555 Duracell car. Ninth and 10th, Jamie Blake, number 97, and David Allen, number 2. On the sixth row, number 1, Ben Mason, starting mid-grid once again, and Keith Atkinson, number 733. 13th and 14th, we've got Nick Bridgman in the blue number 68 car alongside his teammate at Cresta Racing, number 95, Max Populescu, in the red car. Ronald Wilkinson, number 17, and Dan Clark, number 14. They line up 15th and 16th. Ahead of 17th position, Bill Reid, number 333, and Grant Hunter, number 27. On the 10th row, we've got Colin Atkinson, number 9, and Elby Clark, number 15. On the 11th row, it's Matthew Pape, number 24, and Nick Whiteleg, number 67. Expect both of them to come through very strongly as the race evolves. 23rd and 24th on the grid are Stuart McAndrew, 55, and Carlos Perez in the purple number 305 car. And the last man on the main grid, having started pole for Heat 1, is Mark Beattie in the number 85. The rookie grid, best positioned rookie this time round is Harry Irvine, number 26. Second of the rookies is number 44, I should say. He's in position 26. Harry Irvine, number 44. The next of the rookies, 27th, is number 94, Angus Scrivener. And number 5, Richard Dunbar, starts alongside him on the 14th row. On the 15th row of the grid, we've got Aidan McAndrew Dowen, number 430, and Darrell Laws in 236. And the last of the rookies, Colin Reid, number 12. Then Alistair Calderwood in the yellow 66, as usual, starting off the back of the grid. So this is going to be an interesting one for Michael Weddle. If he can hang on at the front there, this is a very good chance for him to take a race win. But as we've seen in the previous race, Ben Mason loves a wet track and is very, very good at coming through the pack. Now the question is the track going to be wet enough for Ben Mason? Right now, if you go offline to overtake, you'll find a wet patch, but if you stay on the racing line, it's going to be bone dry for you. So this is going to be an interesting challenge. It's going to certainly make overtaking a much higher risk manoeuvre than it normally would be, because all the overtaking lines are wet. So this is going to be a very challenging race. Let's hope there's no unnecessary incidents along the way. But race 2 of the 3-race sequence, we've got Ben Mason mid-grid, we've got Mark Beattie, Carlos Perez, Matthew Pape down near the back, Nick Whiteleg's down there as well. And then just looking to see where we've got Max Populescu. He's in 14th on the grid, exactly halfway through. So the mixed grid works so well in this category because it just forces drivers to overtake, and the racecraft on display is magnificent at times. So this is certainly going to be a fantastic race to watch. So it's going to be an 8-lap heat. We do 10 laps in the final later on, but 8 laps for this one. And the car's now just about all into the pit lane. They do the race receiver check as usual, and then we'll see them on the way. And we'll give you the theme music as we do so. So the last car of the group, Alistair Calderwood, number 66. He has lined up in the pit lane. So they're now just about ready to go. So receiver check is complete, and we'll now have the theme music as the cars are led out onto the formation lap. Weddle on pole position. Scott Smith alongside him at the front of the grid, so Weddle and Smith at the front. We've got the 51 of Murray Scott next up alongside Declan Burke, 48. Now I'm not seeing Declan Burke there in the 48 car, so I think he's missing. So there's an empty space on the grid beside Murray Scott. Gary Atkinson, number 6, and David Heaton next up in the white number 78 car.
Well, I can report, I can actually see Declan Burke's car being pushed back in the pit lane area. He pulled off just before the cars left the pit lane. He pulled off in the sort of touring car area, so problems for him, and he's heading back into the paddock at this time. Right,
that's desperately unfortunate for Declan. Let's hope he gets out for the final later on. That'll put him fairly close to the front of the grid for the final, though, a non-start in one of the heats. So safety car pulls off into the stock car loop. And we're seeing Michael Weddle in the white and orange car against Scott Smith in the dark blue car, with Murray Scott just tucked in behind them. As soon as the red lights go out, we'll be racing. And the red lights go out now, and away we go. A demon start from the two Cresta twins in the middle of the grid. That's Bridgman and Populescu. They're coming through very quickly into the pack ahead of them. But it's Michael Weddle that leads down the hill from Scott Smith for the first time. Down into McIntyre's Murray Scott in third position. Just ahead, I think that's Gary Atkinson that sneaked up into fourth position there. Murray Scott challenging for second against Scott Smith. Has to lift out of it as they turn into Butchers. Just not enough space on the track there. And round they go on to the back straight. Everybody... Well, a little bit of a tangle going there. I think somebody delayed at the chicane. Difficult to see who it was or what happened. I think Carlos Perez might have been one of the cars in there. But I think we've everybody still going as we head round towards Clark Corner, and Michael Weddle in the lead head towards the hairpin. We've got side by side for second place. Scott Smith on the inside trying to retake his second position that Murray Scott took from him earlier in the lap. Murray Scott hangs on to second position though, followed through by Scott Smith, and we've got two of the Atkinson cars next up. Very, very difficult to tell at this range which is which. It's the number 2 car that's in second place. The 6 car is in third. That's David Allen then ahead of Gary Atkinson. They're fourth and fifth. And Ben Mason already up into sixth position. We've got a tangle at the hairpin. A couple of cars facing at interesting angles. But the battle goes on for second position with... Murray Scott defending from Ben Mason now. Ben Mason up into third already from 11th on the grid. That's incredible. And as they go along the back straight, we've got a spinner halfway down the back straight. There's a little cloud of smoke as he disappears out of my sight. That was somebody from the top 4 or 5 positions, and the safety car has been called, probably due to the incident at the hairpin, but there's also now an incident, or a one-car incident, down on the back straight as well. So yellow flags waved, the field is brought under control. Michael Weddle then will be cursing this because he'd already built up quite a good lead. 1 1/4 seconds was his advantage as they crossed the line at the end of lap 1. But he is now going to have Murray Scott, a charging Murray Scott, right on his boot lid as they get to the restart. So safety car is because there's a car in the gravel at the hairpin. There was 2 cars in an instant at the hairpin there. And it is one of the Clark racing cars. It's the 127 car, which I think is Phil Rowland's. I'll double check that just now. Yes, it is indeed Phil Rowland's, unfortunately in the gravel on the exit of the hairpin. So he will need a tow out. I think the car's got all 4 wheels pointing in the right direction. So, and the number 2 car it is that's come round. I think he's the car that spun. That's Dave Allen. I think he spun on the back straight, so good to see the car is not... Oh no, in fact, he was involved in this hairpin. So it's another car that went off on the back straight, I think. So Dave Allen then comes round to join the pack. And yeah, Carlos Perez is one of the other cars that's missing. So I think it might have been Carlos Perez that we lost along the back straight. Yeah, that makes sense because... and the other one missing is Keith Atkinson. So, well, based on what I can see from the commentary box anyway, that's who seems to have gone missing at the back of the field. So Michael Weddle's in the lead from Murray Scott, Scott Smith, Gary Atkinson and Ben Mason. Ben Mason was challenging up for third place there, but showing us 5th in the queue behind the safety car at this stage.
Just wanted to report, I saw Keith Atkinson's car, number 7, free pull in, and he's just gone back out now onto the circuit. There didn't appear to be any damage to it, though, from what I could see. So Keith Atkinson back underway, but definitely a lot of track position to catch up on.
Right, so I think so. We know that Phil Rowlands is in the gravel at the hairpin. Keith Atkinson, then, as you've just reported, is back on track. Carlos Perez is missing, and Dave Allen we've seen rejoining the safety car queue. So it's Carlos Perez, I think, is the car that spun down at the back straight. But doesn't seem to be a lot of marshalling activity down there. So maybe whoever spun in the back straight has got going again.
Well, in fact, I actually saw Carlos Perez pull into the pit lane there. I didn't see what the problem was, but he has gone back into the paddock. So,
right.
So he may have indeed spun off, but then just came back because of a car problem. It could be a separate incident.
Right. Okay, that explains it then. So we know who's gone missing now then, and we know who we've got left in the race. And let's see, scanning down the order, Matthew Pape still somewhat to do. He's, mind you, we've only had a couple of racing laps so far, right enough, but he's in 11th at the moment is Matthew Pape. Max Populescu is down there as well in 12th. Angus Scrivener has made his way up to 15th already after a couple of laps, so he has managed to overtake, let me see now, he came from 27th on the grid, so he's overtaken 12 cars so far. Jamie Blake down in 13th, he was challenging for the lead in some of the races yesterday, so he could move up from there. And Mark Beattie from the back of the main field, car 85, he's come up from 25th into 16th. So watch for him coming through as well, the green 85 car. So safety car lights are out. The field is released now to carry on. Timing computer showing 5 laps to go. I think that might be adjusted up the way. We'll keep an eye on that because we don't discount the safety car laps until they've done more than 3 of them. So Michael Weddle leading the pack then from Murray Scott, Scott Smith, and then the number 2 of Dave Allen. David Allen has Colin Atkinson right behind him as well in the number 9 car. So into the hairpin they go. Michael Weddle will decide when he's ready to accelerate away, and here they come. Murray Scott following in his wheel tracks, getting a good toe up the main straight there. Not quick enough, I don't think, or not close enough, I don't think, to mount an overtaking challenge as to go to turn 1, but we'll see. Now he closes in under braking, but still a couple of counter lengths off. Scott Smith then down in 3rd position, a few car lengths further back, and coming under pressure from all angles is Ben Mason trying to pass. I think that's the number 9 of Colin Atkinson ahead of Ben Mason down there. They are battling it out with one of the Clark cars as they go through the chicane. Ben Mason making a bid for position, still not getting through. He's under huge pressure from, I can't tell if it's Dan Clark or LB Clark here. I think it might be Dan Clark. I think he was further up the order at the safety car. And Ben Mason, I think, has now made it through. Yep, he's got ahead of the number 6 car he was chasing. It was Gary Atkinson he was chasing. And Daniel Clark right alongside as they into the braking area. Daniel Clark goes out wide to sweep in past the number 6 car at the hairpin apex. He's got Matthew Pape now on his tail. Matthew Pape seems to have appeared from nowhere right onto the back of Daniel Clark's car, with Daniel Clark now beginning to pick up a nice slipstream from the number 6 car of Gary Atkinson ahead of him, and he's moving to overtake at Duffus. It's going to be a tight squeeze as the number 6 car comes across in front of him. Dan Clark still trying through to the apex of McIntyre's, but Gary Atkinson defends that very well indeed. Matthew Pape gets past Daniel Clark though on the run down towards Butchers. Matthew Pape's now going to have a go at passing the number 6 car of Gary Atkinson as they go along the back straight. Pape's alongside as they get towards Clark Corner, gets down the inside under braking for Clark. Beautifully done, very quick decisive move, drifts beautifully through Clark in front of Gary Atkinson, and on they go onto another lap. Dan Clark again trying to get past Atkinson as they head down towards the hairpin. Atkinson defending beautifully. Matthew Pape made it look easy. Daniel Clark really struggling to get past, and he's now got Max Populescu and Grant Hunter on his tail as they head up the hill once again to complete another lap. We've got 4 laps to go now. Fastest lap of the race is with Ben Mason, a 59.787 for Ben Mason as he chases Scott Smith in 5th position at the moment. Scott Smith in 4th. and Ben Mason takes that position and goes up into 4th place at McIntyre's beautifully judged overtake on the exit of Leslie's. Scott Smith's going to try and come back at him as they go through Butchers, but Ben Mason is massively faster through the Butchers and chicane complex than almost anybody else on the racetrack. So Scott Smith has to just sit and watch Ben Mason pull 2 or 3 car lengths further ahead of him. Ben Mason's next target now is going to be Dave Allen in the number 2 car, and already he's picking up the tow from the back of that number 2 car as they head down towards the hairpin, and he just pulls out the slipstream onto the brakes, and he's ahead and into 3rd position as Ben Mason. So still out front is Michael Weddle and Murray Scott. Michael Weddle 77, Murray Scott 51, and now it's Ben Mason. He's made up 2 places on that last lap to put himself into the podium slots. He's pulling away from Scott Smith. Now the question is, as Matthew Pape sets a new fastest lap, 59.611, can Ben Mason catch the 2 cars in the lead? Meanwhile, the number 6 of Gary Atkinson still holding off Daniel Clark, who's been alongside him 2 or 3 times and still can't get past. Behind them, Max Populescu has just passed, I think that was Jamie Blake, for position, and that's down in the bottom end of the top 10. Max Populescu's next target is going to be Grant Hunter. Yes, the battle between Gary Atkinson and Daniel Clark is now causing a hold up for a whole gaggle of cars behind them, and they're all arriving at once at the hairpin, with Grant Hunter fancying his chances of passing all of them as he tries to charge up the inside of Dan Clark. Doesn't quite make it stick. Dan Clark still has the advantage as they come out the hairpin, and Dan Clark latches onto the back of the Grant Hunter car once again, or the Gary Atkinson car I should say, once again, and Gary Atkinson still resisting the challenge as they head down towards Duffus. Jamie Blake sneaks ahead of Max Populescu there as they went into Duffus, but yes, constant place swapping in that group. It's a tremendous 8-car midfield battle there as they head down towards Butchers and the chicane. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Michael Weddle still has a comfortable and consistent gap over Murray Scott. Ben Mason now has the fastest lap, 59.261, and up into the top 20 has come Harry Irvin, one of the faster of the rookies. That's a good drive by Harry Irvin, up to 20th position in car 44, and 3rd of the rookies. Darrell Laws is just ahead of him in the 236 car in 19th, but Angus Scrivener, as usual, is the star of the rookies, and he's now up into 11th position. Ben Mason's managed to pull well clear of Matthew Pape. Matthew Pape now ahead of Scott Smith and pulling away from him, but Ben Mason, the fastest man on track, 59.13 now. He's going quicker and quicker in his attempts to chase the leading pair, but he's only got 1 lap to go, and he's halfway around it already. The leading pair, Michael Weddle, unchallenged at the moment by Murray Scott, who in turn is unchallenged by Ben Mason. Ben just can't get quite close enough at this stage to challenge for the lead, but the track now fully dry. They're really beginning to explore the lap times, and the race is getting quicker and quicker. Everybody, or all the leading contenders, setting personal best laps as we come through, but last corner, last lap for Michael Weddle in the 77 car. He leads the way onto the main straight for the final time. Checkered flag awaits, and Michael Weddle, number 77, takes another Legends win ahead of Murray Scott in the 51 car, and then the Cresta Racing number 1 of Ben Mason ahead of Matthew Pape, 24, Scott Smith, number 13, and next up, who's going to win this battle that's been going on for so much of the race? It's Gary Atkinson finishes in number 6 ahead of the 27 car of Grant Hunter. Then Jamie Blake, 97, Angus Scrivener, number 94, gets to the top 10. It gets 9th position from 27th on the grid. Amazing stuff, and he turns out as top rookie ahead of Max Populescu, completing the top 10. Mark Beattie up from the back of the grid gets to 11th position, and Daniel Clark dropping 3 or 4 places at the end there, down to 12th position in the number 14 car. So fantastic Legends racing as ever. Michael Weddle made the absolute best of it though. He started from pole position, managed to lead off the beginning of the race, managed to lead it from the safety car restart, and just did everything right. Never had to really fight for that position once he'd established a little gap there at the front. Murray Scott, close enough to him to always be there or thereabouts in case Michael made a mistake, but also always quick enough to be ahead of Ben Mason, who had to come up from the midfield on the grid. Fastest lap of the race then, Ben Mason, 59.13. Leading margin, Michael Weddle ahead of Murray Scott by 1.3 seconds. So 77 Michael Weddle, 51 Murray Scott, and number 1 Ben Mason is your top 3. And Chris, you're poised and ready.
Yep, certainly am for the top 3 to turn up here in the Victory Circle area. Fabulous second race for the Legends, and in much better weather conditions as well, even if the track side was a bit more on the damp and slightly unpredictable side, but everybody somewhat managing to get around and in many cases back safe and sound. A few cars pulling off with problems, including I saw Dave Allen just near the end of the race, his car pulling into the pits for a reason, then heading back to the paddock. Hopefully he can get that car fixed up in time for the final near the end of today. The top 3 now lining up in the pit in the Victory Circle area, and another strong result for Michael Weddle, and another fabulous result for Murray Scott, the former C1 champion, again showing his credentials here in the Legends Championship. And Ben Mason as well, the man who we saw dominate in the wet, doing another fine job in the slightly more drier yet still fairly damp conditions of race 2. So Michael Weddle, first place, another strong result for you and another fantastic win as well. But you had Murray Scott there the whole time behind you.
Yeah, no, it was a good race. When you always start off the front row, you know you need to get a good result. So no, I was just managing the pace there. Just didn't want to push too hard, just to overdrive it and end up in the gravel. We weren't sure what the conditions were going to do at the start there, but it stayed dry. So no, happy with that.
And of course the final coming up as well, and this is the kind of the reverse grid race effectively, where the guys with the least points start at the front, those with the most points start at the back. So that's going to be quite exciting as well, especially with the weather potentially still up in the air.
Yeah, no, final is always the best race of the day, I think. The quick guys are at the back, so it's just a case of just trying to keep it clean. So hopefully just another clean race, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations there, Michael. Michael Weddle there, winner of race 2. Murray Scott, a very good second place for you. You were pretty much on the in the wheel tracks of the number 77 all through the race. Your perspective on that?
Yeah, no, it was a good race. I never had enough to give him any challenge, but I was just happy to stick on him, and I knew obviously Michael's got really good pace, so I thought if I could stay with him, I've got a good chance of pulling away from the main pack and hopefully keeping the second place. I've given up way too many opportunities for a podium this season and even last season, so glad to finally get one under my belt and hopefully didn't get disqualified this time.
And finally, of course, as well, the away events coming up later on this season. Norton Park, the first one in support of the British Touring Cars. You're looking forward to that one?
Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, after my day yesterday in the start of the season, I thought about wrapping it, but we've got a podium now, so I may as well stick around and see how Norton Park goes.
Congratulations there, Murray Scott there, a strong second place for him, and we'll get a quick word with Ben Mason as the final cars get sent through and get the podium set up shortly. Ben, from the mid-pack to the very front of the field again, you went well in the wet. It wasn't as wet this time round, but you still did a really good job out there.
Yeah, no, obviously Michael and Murray starting quite near the front, so I knew they would work together and just disappear, and they kind of did. So it took a while to get through the pack, and obviously after the safety car as well, just kind of picked them off one by one, and just they had got the lead, the gap on me, and there was no real closing in on them. So I just kind of maintained the pace and kind of made sure I didn't do any silly mistakes. So I'll start my rain dance very shortly for the final, because it looks like it could be cloudy coming across. So here's hoping.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations there, Ben, and we'll get the drivers over to the podium, and we'll do it in reverse order, third through first, as is normal. And third position, it is car number 1, Ben Mason. So very well done to Ben, another strong result after an impressive win in race 1. Second place, driver of car number 51, Murray Scott. A strong result for him, and another brilliant result for the former C1 champion. And the winner of race 2, adding to his win tally, former mini star Michael Weddle. And that concludes the second race of the Sunday for the Scottish Legends. 5th race overall of the weekend now off the books. Now, though, it's time for the last demonstration runs of this Champions of Scotland weekend, and it is the Karting Legends that will give their final performance out on circuit.
Well, slight change of plan. I don't think we're going to see the Karting Legends. I think due to weather conditions, they've made a decision that they may not run again today, which is unfortunate, but we did have a great demo from them earlier on, and we saw them of course out twice yesterday. So what's lining up in the holding area now is the Superlap Scotland contenders. So I think it maybe we're not going to get the karting demo. Now the next thing that was on the programme was of course a further demonstration in terms of cars. So there is the vague hope that Stuart Robb would bring his pill beam out, and we might see Ron Cummings AC3000. We saw them on track yesterday, but looking across, I'm not sure what we're going to get. So Stuart Robb is not actually in his car at the moment. So I'm not sure what we're going to get in terms of any demo laps and things. This would be the time to do it while the track's pretty much dry. So we'll have to wait and see. So Superlap Scotland final though will be the next competitive action coming up. It's due out at 3:10, so we've got quite a bit of time to decide whether we're going to see any demo action or not. Well, actually, Chris, I can see you're there or thereabouts down at the garage where the building is stored.
I can see Stuart Robb and his crew are having a quick chat about with Stuart Gray at the moment. I actually see they've got some wet weather tyres ready for the pill beam. They haven't put them on the car yet. They're still wrapped in their cellophane wrapper, and yes, it is cellophane wrapper. That is. This is sprint car rate. This is a British Sprint Championship stuff. It's not like what you see in Formula One. But they have the tyres ready in case they decide to head out for a demonstration run. But hopefully we can see that. But the weather's still up in the air at the moment. But it'll be good to see the Superlap Scotland cars heading out shortly. And perhaps after that, we'll see the fabulous Judd-powered pill beam number 99 heading out for its free lap run, and potentially even a new lap record being set as well in the process. But we'll just wait and see.
Yeah, that's always a possibility when these cars come on track if the conditions are right. There's a recovery going on down at the chicane though. One of the legends being lifted onto the flatbed truck from there, and a couple of course cars out as well. So there'll be a few minutes before anything can go on track once that recovery is done. And of course there's the car to be recovered from the gravel down at the hairpin as well. It's been pushed by the marshals to the edge of the track, so it should be an easy tow back to the paddock, hopefully, once a tow truck becomes available. But work going on down at the chicane just now. So, and I think that it's the 55 car actually that's getting put onto a trailer down there, so that'll be brought back from the chicane. So the 55 car in Legends was Stuart McAndrew. So unfortunately a non-finisher in that Legends Heat 2. So that will put him, assuming the car can be repaired in time, that will put him close to the front of the field when we get to the final. The grid for the final will be drawn based on the championship points accrued so far. So there's a couple of cars there where we've seen non-finishes, and assuming they can be prepared in time, they could be up at the sharp end of the grid for the final, which always adds to the interest. 10 laps, of course, for the final when we see it out later on. Now, track temperature. This point yesterday, the track temperature was up in the mid-20s. It was around 24, 25 Celsius. Today, 12.7. That's pretty grim for the middle of May. It doesn't get much colder than that in May. Let's hope we get some decent warm weather soon. This should be a day of t-shirt weather and suntan cream, but it's absolutely freezing. So our thanks to the marshals for braving all the weather conditions out there and doing a great job today, keeping the show on the road. We're actually running early, so that doesn't happen by itself. That's just good organisation, good marshalling keeps the thing running. So thanks to all of the marshals and recovery crews, etc. And we shall wait and see of any progress down at the pit lane garages.
Yeah, I've just had a word with Stuart Gray here, one of the organisers here at Knockhill, and it's just been confirmed. Once the SLS final has been concluded, depending on how dry the track is, we will get the pill beam of Stuart Robb out on track for its demonstration run. So that is going to be properly thrilling to see that thing. So expect plenty of noise and plenty of sparks, no doubt, from this pill beam at Judd. And but that's in the future, as always. Coming up will be the Superlap Scotland final, and of course the final is the big points payer, and with the new format as well, it's been pretty much well received, actually, the new format, with all the cars heading out on track, although some have said that the old format of individual classes was perhaps a bit preferable.
Yeah, I know Adam Kindness, I spoke to him after the last event. He prefers the immediacy of the one lap. You've got to do it on that one lap. He likes the pressure and the stress that provides. But on a day like today, when the weather's potentially changeable, I think it's a much fairer system to actually have everyone out on track together, because then it removes that uncontrollable element where somebody could just hit a rainstorm when everyone else in their class had a dry running lap. So it eliminates that. And I think it's, for me anyway, it's a nicer watching experience if you see everyone on track and you can see all the times together ebbing and flowing as the session goes on, but each to their own. But it's an interesting experiment as we go through the year. I quite like it, but all opinions are welcome, of course, and we'll see what the organisers decide to do when it's reviewed at the end of the season. So it is a bit different to the traditional sprint format, where it was this sudden one lap. You've got to deliver everything on one lap, but yeah, you've got to try things, you've got to innovate, got to make progress by experimenting. So recovery teams and crews and things just about finished their work. We've just got that one car to be picked up for the hairpin, then we'll have a clear track for SLS, and then we'll see, hopefully, fingers crossed, touching all the wood available, we'll have a dry track for the Pilbeam to go out. It'd be great to see that in action. There's something really special about ultra high performance single seater race cars like that. There's just nothing to beat it. So SLS then, well, we had qualifying earlier on. Michael Osborne set the fastest lap in qualifying in his Mitsubishi Evo 5. He did a 56.397, just fractionally ahead of Mark Thompson's Radical. Just 0.184 of a second between them. So this is quite unpredictable going into this final, to see which way this is going to go. I can see the Radicals in the queue there just behind Adam Kindness's Mini. Adam Kindness was third quickest in qualifying. He did a 58.411, so he's a couple of seconds down on the other two cars. And then about a second and a bit behind him, about 1.3 seconds behind, in fact, is the Subaru Impreza of Andrew Cowie, number 23. They're all in different classes. Michael Osborne in the Pro class, Mark Thompson Pro X, Adam Kindness in Class D, and Andrew Cowie in Class F. There are 3 Class F cars here today. Andrew Cowie is the quickest of the 3. David Capstick just behind him in the second of those cars. He's the reigning champion, carrying car number 1 in his Renault Megane. And he's also a road car as well. Then the next Class F car, a couple of places further back overall, is Craig Wallace in the 15 Peugeot, but ahead of him is Dave Wallace in the Honda S2000. So Honda S2000, Dave Wallace was 6th in qualifying. Did a 1 minute 2.492 ahead of Craig Wallace on a 1 minute 3.430. The last 3 on the grid, or on the lineup in qualifying, Andrew Webster in the Austin Mini with the Vauxhall engine, as we found out thanks to Chris. He's 2nd in Class D, and he's running 8th overall with a 1 minute 4.886. Then Gary Muir, he is in Class F. He is the 3rd of the 3 Class F runners. Road car as well. Gary Muir, number 87, Audi TT. He did a 1 minute 6.805, just 22 thousandths of a second quicker than Georgi Shuriki's Subaru Impreza, which is a Class E car. So those two, very, very close. It'll be interesting to see which one comes out on top when we get to the end of the final session. So 8 or 10 cars entered, 10 cars hopefully lined up in the holding area, ready to go. They have been called, I think, a little bit early, so not everybody's there yet, but the rules do allow for the fact that timetables can change and grids can get called early, so hopefully they'll all get there in time. And they've got maybe a couple of minutes left as that recovery's finished off down at the hairpin, and then we'll see who comes out as King of the Hill for today in Superlap Scotland. So we've also got the debris removal truck out. Always worth doing after a Legends race. There's always a little bit of slipping and sliding and gravel picked up onto the track and things. So we'll see if, we'll hopefully have a nice clean track for the cars come out. So in terms of wet patches and things, there's a little bit offline at the hairpin, just the very inside of the approach to the hairpin has wet on it, but the normal racing line that these cars will be taking in this session, that won't affect them. And I think everywhere else that needs to be dry is dry. There's the odd bit of dampness offline coming along from Clark Corner onto Hislops down towards the hairpin, but it's offline. It won't have any effect. So at the moment, track conditions are good. So let's keep our fingers crossed we can get through the rest of the programme without any weather disruptions. Although Ben Mason will be thinking otherwise, as we heard in his post-race interview. He likes it wet. He likes to drive in wet conditions, and often wins in wet conditions. So drivers getting in their cars for SLS, and we should be underway in the next few minutes because we've just got that recovery truck which is about to turn into the back entrance of the paddock, and that's us, clear track. So we'll just have to await the go-ahead from the marshals to release the cars for SLS. So we'll keep our fingers crossed as well that we get the Pillbeam demo following the SLS thing. It's the car's been sitting there getting warmed up all day. Single-seater cars like that with high-performance race engines, the tolerances in the engines and gearboxes are such that it's strongly advised that you preheat them before you actually run the engine. So warm fluids are pumped through the engine before starting the car, and then the heating systems can be disconnected, and the engine then is up to temperature before it starts. Otherwise, the tolerances are so tight in the engine that it could just seize with the interference between all the cold parts. So normally you'll see cars covered, the heating system will be running through the car. You'll see the car covered in blankets sometimes on a cold day like this, just to keep that heat in there and then be ready for a safe engine start. So the timing computer has blanked. That means we've got cars coming into pit lane ready for the start of Superlap Scotland. Adam Kindness, I should say, is going to be leading the way in his Class D car. And cars slowly moving forward. Andrew Cowie's going to be last to leave the holding area in car 23. So I didn't see the black Subaru of Georgi Skoricki, and he did go off at one point in the last session. So Chris, I don't know if you saw him driving past or not. The 777 Subaru.
I haven't seen him drive past as of yet, unfortunately. So, but I do see the number 23 machine that's going through there.
Yep.
That Subaru is definitely out, but I don't see 777 at the moment.
Yeah, so I think we might have lost 777, unfortunately, after qualifying. He was last in the qualifying at 1 minute 6.827. But unfortunately, I don't think he's made it round to restart this. So cars now heading out onto track for the Superlap Scotland final. So 25 points available if you've got 3 or more cars in your class for a class win. And the man who's got 3 or more cars in his class is Andrew Cowie. So if Andrew Cowie can win Class F, and he was nearly 2 seconds up on the rest of the class in qualifying, then he's going to take home 25 points. I think all the other cars are in classes of 2 or less, so they will only score, yes, they're all in classes of 2 or less, so they'll only score half points, or reduced points anyway. 12 points for a class win if it's a smaller class, and 10 for second in a class. So everyone's going to score some points. The question is how many points. So as they come round the back straight, Adam Kindness just keeping out of the way of the Radical of Mark Thompson, and then getting ready to do some warm-up. So usual pattern, we'll see 2 or 3 warm-up laps and then into the hot laps. Now the drivers will have to balance that approach with the fact that there is another cloud a couple of miles to the west of the circuit. There is a sign of rain out towards Stirling. It's heading this way, so you don't want to spend 2 laps warming up your tyres and find it's all nicely warmed up for a wet track. So they're going to have to get on with the job fairly quickly, get a banker in early in the session, and be sure they get a dry weather lap time before the heavens open. But at least they're all out together, so they've all got the same chance to do that. So Adam Kindness is getting on with the job early. He's got his LED lights on the front of the car, and is heading at speed towards the hairpin, as is Mark Thompson ahead of him in the 101 car. Mark Thompson then crosses the line. He's done a 58.052. We know he can go a bit quicker than that, but that's at least a banker lap in there. Adam Kindness goes quicker. Amazing. A Mini going quicker than the Radical. Would you believe it? 57.392 then for Adam Kindness. That's quicker than he went in qualifying. He'll be pleased with that. 57.392. That's an excellent opening lap from Adam, as the Mini of Andrew Webster goes through with a 1 minute 8.9, so he's got a little bit of time to find. David Capstick a 63.826, and David Wallace in his Honda goes into third place in a 1 minute 0.296, just ahead of Andrew Cowie, 1 minute 2.191. So at the moment David Wallace is heading Class E. He's the only Class E. Class F then is the question of who's going to take that one. But Mark Thompson 52.518. Mark Thompson a 52.518. That's 4 seconds almost quicker than he went in qualifying. That's an incredible lap. 52.518 for Mark Thompson. That is going to be unbeatable in terms of overall time. So he is going to win the King of the Hill. I can't imagine any of the other cars out there are going to have a 52 in them. But Adam Kindness is 57. Is an excellent time for the Mini. He's coming into pits just now. I wonder if he's seen that lap time on his dashboard and thought, right, I can't go any faster than that. That's it. That's the limit. Andrew Cowie up to third place overall, though, a 58.519 for Andrew Cowie. He takes the lead of Class F, and that is an excellent lap from him. 59.707 was his best in qualifying. He's done a 58.5 here, so he'll be very pleased with that, going quicker than his qualifying time. And David Wallace gets up to 59.547. And again, substantially quicker than he went in qualifying. So this is good performance from the Superlap Scotland contenders. We've still got 10 minutes of the session left, but Mark Thompson leads from Adam Kindness. Adam Kindness has gone back into pit lane. In fact, I think he's disappeared back to the paddock. Yes, he has. In fact, he's decided he's done enough. 1 lap and bang, that's it, job done. And he's heading back into the paddock now in that number 155 Mini. Much modified now. It's grown extra wheel arches and wings and things in recent times. Now, the car that's not there is Michael Osborne Sr. He's not shown on the time screens as Andrew Cowie comes into pit lane. 58.518 is the best then from Andrew Cowie. Let's see if he stops at that or if he goes out again. I think he's decided he's going to stop at that. Yes, he's back around the paddock as well. So these guys have got lap timers in the car, so they know what lap time they've done, and I guess they would have a target time in mind that if they reach that, they reckon that's as fast as they're going to go. And so that's what we've seen with Mark Thompson, Adam Kindness, Andrew Cowie. Dave Wallace still out on track though. His best so far a 59.547. He'll need to find another second if he wants to move into the top 3 overall. Mark Thompson is still out on track as well. 51.837 last time. A 51 second lap. That is an absolute demolition of the opposition. 51.837 seconds. That's the fastest lap we've seen from anything all weekend by far. That's a fantastic performance. And he now comes into the pit lane. He'll be exhausted after that one, I would imagine. 51.837. and Mark Thompson back into the pit lane. And he also heading back round to the paddock. So that just leaves a couple of cars on track, 3 cars on track that I can see. The little mini of Andrew Webster at the moment down 65.543 is his best time. That's not quite as quick as he went in qualifying. So he's got a little bit to find there. And David Wallace in the Honda, 59.474. He's just in a personal best there, 59.474. So he's still chipping away at things. David Capstick's also just in a personal best, a 61.558. So 61.558 for David Capstick. That's about 3/10 quicker than he managed in qualifying. So again, he'll have logged that. He'll know that that's a good lap for him. And Craig Wallace then in the number 15 Peugeot, he's also done a personal best of 63.405. And that is just a fraction. It's 25 thousandths quicker than he went in qualifying. So almost everybody's gone quicker than their qualifying times. And Craig Wallace goes through again, just a couple of tenths slower that time round. So David Capstick on a cool down lap at the moment. Not surprised he's cooling down after 61.558 in the Renault Megane there. And we'll see if he's got any more to come. He may or may not go to another push lap. He's got his headlights on, but I think he's heading to pit lane as well. So David Capstick moves across the pit lane. We're halfway through the session, still 7 minutes, 20 seconds left. But next up on the programme is the Scottish Modsports Championship race. So I think that would explain why Matt Thompson has gone off the track into pit lane and has gone straight round to line up for his pole position slot in the Modsports race. But a 51.837, that's certainly got his eye in, and it shows the performance that car is capable of. That's an amazing lap. Personal best for Craig Wallace, he's in a 63.402. So Craig Wallace then 28 thousandths quicker than he was in qualifying. He's chipped 2 thousandths of a second off his previous best. As we see the 88 Mini of Andrew Webster coming through. Personal best for him as well, 65.093. So he's just a couple of tenths away from the best time that he did in qualifying. So Chris, I can hear your microphone's open.
Yeah, I'm just with David Capstick there, and he just said he doesn't have any fuel left in his car there. So, David, you've certainly been pushing then if you've come back here with barely enough fuel to make it to the winner's circle.
With everything moving up, I was literally just fueling up when we get called for the final time, so I just had to abandon it. My filler had split, to be fair, so I was struggling. But that's all I can do. We'll just need to see if Craig can beat me or not.
Yeah, but it's certainly been an interesting weekend, though, especially with the weather conditions being all over the place. So how do you feel they are at the moment?
The track at the moment's absolutely bone dry, so it's perfect to push on. Considerably different than what it was this morning, but we'll just need to see how the others progress, if I get knocked out or not. Absolutely.
Well, good luck. Well, congratulations on the effort you did there, David, and it was certainly fun to watch, and also very hard pushed effort, especially on the Renault.
Yeah, no, car's doing all right for being a wee standard road car, so no, we'll take that.
Absolutely. So David Capstick there thus far, one of the best placed of the road cars, and this beautiful Renault Megane, even complete with his little Renault F1 team motif on the side of it, really pushing hard out there on what is now a bone dry circuit. So that bodes well for the rest of this afternoon's action.
Yeah, so David Capstick managed a 1 minute 1.558 second lap, so he's nearly 2 seconds ahead of Craig Wallace, who's his class rival. So yeah, he should be okay from that point of view. He's not quite as quick as Andrew Cowie though, who was into the 58s. But David Capstick should be on for a second in class there, and a good haul of championship points. So a couple of cars still left on track. David Wallace still going round. 59.474 is his best, puts him fourth overall. He's completed 8 laps. We've still got 4 minutes of the session remaining. Headlights are on, so that would suggest he's going on to a hot lap. And I think 2 other cars left. Yeah, we've got the number 88 Mini and the number 15 Peugeot. The number 15 Peugeot is flying at the moment. It's drifting up through Clark's and on to Hislops, heading down towards the hairpin. So the number 15 of Craig Wallace, and he brakes hard for the hairpin. Car snakes a little bit just before the turn in, and he's pushing the outer limits. Let's see if he can improve his previous best. His previous best was a 63.402. As he crosses the line, he gets a 63.467. He's remarkably consistent. He's consistent to within thousandths of a second, is Craig Wallace. Not quite enough to move up the order, though. Andrew Webster in the Mini, his best so far, 65.093. Last time I looked, he was on a cool down lap, but David Wallace is on a hot lap, just finishing it now in the Honda, and he improves to 58.891. That's a big improvement there from David Wallace. Excellent lap from him. So the 64 car, 58.891 is his best time so far. David Capstick actually commenting on the fact he was running out of fuel. Well, that's his car is as lightest weight as possible. So it's probably, in some ways, an advantage. Deprive him of a few extra laps, but give him a lighter weight car. So you can look on the positives there. Andrew Webster on a hot lap in the Mini now. Let's see what he can do. He's not that far behind Craig Wallace. Craig Wallace on another hot lap. Let's see what time he can record. It was a 63.402 for him previously, 63.507 this time, and the Mini of Andrew Webster 65.032, so that's a personal best for him. Tantalisingly close to getting below the 65 second bracket, which he did in qualifying, but he hasn't quite managed it here. He's just a tenth and a half away from what he did in qualifying, 65.032 seconds. So just 2 minutes of the session remaining, so just a couple of laps left for the competitors that are still out on track, which is the Peugeot and the Mini, I think, and the Honda. So 3 cars left out on track, and coming now towards their final laps as we see the Mod Sports getting lined up in the holding area. Good to see Ron Cummings' car arriving there as well. It went off in race 1, spinning on the exit of McIntyre's, potentially due to cold tyres, but don't know, there might have been a mechanical issue. But anyway, whatever it was, the car is there, ready to go. As we see the last of the Superlap Scotland laps being completed, and Andrew Webster's finally done it. He's got a 64.373. That's a massive improvement on that lap, over half a second improvement. 64.373 for Andrew Webster, and that is way quicker than he went in qualifying. That's about a half a second quicker than he went in qualifying, so he'll be delighted with that. It's 7th overall out of 7 cars on the track, but that doesn't matter. That's as fast as that car can go, I think. And that's what this is all about. So 64.373. So I think everybody out there has gone quicker than they went in qualifying, which means they've probably got the fastest lap their car can possibly do right here, right now, in these conditions. So Mark Thompson then quickest overall, and now sitting on pole position for a Mod Sports race. 51.837 for him, 57.392 for Adam Kyness, second overall, 58.518 for Andrew Cowie, third overall. David Wallace then still out there in the Honda, 58.891 is his best. David Capstick, he recorded a best of a 61.558. Craig Wallace just crossing the line, his best so far has been a 63.402, and then Andrew Webster, a fantastic 64.373 in that Vauxhall engined Mini with 4 seconds remaining on the clock. So expect the checkered flag about now. There it goes. So that is the end of the Superlap Scotland final. So Mark Thompson wins it from Adam Kyness, Andrew Cowie, Dave Wallace, Dave Capstick, Craig Wallace and Andrew Webster. In terms of the classes they're in, I'll try and work that out as we go. Mark Thompson wins Class Pro X. Adam Kyness will win Class D. Andrew Cowie wins Class F. David Wallace wins Class E. David Capstick will be second in Class F. Craig Wallace will be third in Class F. And Andrew Webster in the Mini, he is second in Class D. So that's the finishing order, and 7 cars completing the final then. Track temperature's dropping. It's now down to 10.7 Celsius as the temperature drops outside. Keep our fingers crossed that we keep a dry track for the next little while. And so Chris, well, you probably won't be able to interview the winner for this because it's Mark Thompson who's in the holding area for the next race, as is Adam Kindness. And Andrew Cowie, I think, is lined up for the next race as well. So the top 3 are all in the holding area.
Yep, they definitely are. The top 3 waiting patiently in the holding area for their run. Brilliant run there by Mark Thompson in that Radical. I wonder if it's a possibility that he could repeat that run in the Mod Sports. However, that is a more sprint race format, and it is also a proper race as well. But you never know. Sometimes the most amazing things can happen, and double victories are indeed possible across multiple disciplines. Before we get the Mod Sports though, I can see Stuart Robb is ready in his Pillbeam, the car ready to go out. We're just waiting for 1 or 2 of our Superlap Scotland cars to come back to the paddock. But once we do that, the air will be set asunder by the roar of a Jed-powered Pillbeam single-seater. A Judd engine derived from an LMP1 car, no doubt, and expect plenty of speed and sparks from this number 99 Pillbeam, a car that just looks and sounds absolutely insane, and I think we could even be on for a lap record being set as well.
Yep, looking forward to this. This is a proper loud, fast single-seater territory, so let's keep our fingers crossed on the weather as well. It's looking a bit gloomy to the west there, but let's hope we can just sneak this car out for 2 or 3 laps before anything damp comes from the sky. Spoke to Stuart Robb earlier this morning, so the format is he's only going to do 2 or 3 laps, bring the car back in. That's exactly the format that would be the case in a sprint championship, and you can hear the noise. It's fantastic noise that car makes, just a wall of sound. Out onto track then comes Stuart Robb. He'll have 1 lap to get things warmed up tyre wise and brake wise, and then he will be on it. Push lap, and in again. So this is probably going to be the fastest time there. I don't know if the timekeepers will have a time on it or not, but we'll soon see as Stuart Robb comes onto the back straight now, heading towards Clark Corner. Of course, he's had to recalibrate himself from driving a Morgan earlier on into this ultra-quick single-seater. What a sound. The car bouncing over the undulations of the track that most road cars wouldn't notice going along there, but you'd notice it when you're in a single-seater like this. Let's have a listen to this coming up the main straight. Into Duff as he goes then. So this is his quick lap. So this will be the fastest lap anybody's set all day in any car. No question about that. Down through Butchers, up through the chicane. A single seater like that is quite a delicate process to get up through the chicane. It doesn't like those sudden gradient and camber changes, but once you get back onto the normal circuit surface, then it is rapid. Couple of raindrops on the commentary box window. I think we're just sneaking this in time and no more as Stuart Robb heads out onto another lap. Don't suppose there's anyone there with a speed gun, is there, Chris?
The guy with the speed gun there just said that run was 247 kilometers per hour there over the top of the hill there, and I could see the sparks coming out from the right hand side front wing. It looks like a proper 1990s era Formula 1 car, and that was the first flying lap, and we've still got 1 more to go.
Yeah, so 247 k's, he's still accelerating, so I could imagine he'd easily get to probably 270, 280 before he was braking. So we'll do the arithmetic afterwards, but that is a pretty rapid straight line speed. Yep, into the pits then I think he's going to come. Yes, so yeah, that was fantastic to see. Brilliant sight and sound of our top line single-seater in action. Right, a 47.13 is the time that the timekeepers have recorded on the... there was 2 flying laps there, 47.13, so that's substantially faster than anything else has gone all day. I think given that the track is very cold and there's the odd bit of moisture in the air, that's probably as quick as he was going to get today. So it's a few seconds away from the outright lap record, but 47.13 is still stirring stuff. Dramatic to watch. So great that Stuart Robb's done that. So our thanks to Stuart for bringing that car along and giving it a little run. And just a wonderful thing. You can imagine that as well, what it would be like. You can kind of recalibrate yourself here, because that's a Judd engine out of a Le Mans car. Can you imagine a grid full of those at Le Mans, cars of that performance, racing for 24 hours? That kind of puts a perspective on the level of driving capability required to race one of those for 24 hours around Le Mans, or race a car of that performance, obviously not a single-seater, around a circuit like Le Mans. So a car being wheeled back into the garage, that's was fantastic to see, and hopefully the rain's not going to come to anything much more. Keep our fingers crossed for this, but we should have Mod Sports on track very shortly. So 47.13. So if we assume that Stuart would have reached about 260 kilometres per hour down the main straight there, then I'll do my quick calculation and I'll tell you what that would have been. So about 165 miles an hour would probably be Stuart's maximum. Probably just after he passed the Beatson's Bridge, actually, he'd be doing about 165 miles an hour, and then down to probably still over 100 as he turned into Duffus.
Well, I'm with Stuart Robb now. Stuart, we've just been looking at the speedometer there. It's been estimated that by the end of the straight you were reaching 160 miles an hour plus down there.
Yeah, that's about right. It's when we're in competition, we're usually about 180. So it's, for the conditions and things, it's pretty good.
Absolutely, and of course the car is just sparking along the straights as well. It looked like an old-fashioned Formula One car. It's one of the Pilbeam's trademarks, isn't it?
Well, no, it does go down quite a lot under load, and there is some titanium at the front which tends to flick out the back, yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you here, and of course we'll still get to see you at the end of the day though, because we've got the final classics race at the end of the day, so it's from one extreme to the next, because it's from the Pilbeam to the Morgan.
Yeah, I could talk to the classics. They might let me in with that thing, I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, indeed. Well, congratulations there, and the 42nd second lap there, so that was brilliant stuff.
Thank you very much.
So Stuart Robb there, impressive display there, and it's a good thing we got the run done, because the rain is now coming back down with a vengeance here at Knockhill. So we think probably bring the thunder this weekend, and I think the Judd has just summoned it. Yes,
from one form of thunder to another now, but yeah, I can still see some light in the distance, so hopefully this is just a passing shower, but it still causes a bit of a headache for some of the runners in the Mod Sports field. I don't know what tyres are on the number 10 car of Mark Thompson. I suspect he had slicks on for that Super Lap Scotland run, but I don't know what he's got in the car now. But if it's slicks, he's going to be in for quite a ride. Anyway, the safety car moves forward, and the intention is that the field of cars should follow him into the pit lane, but I don't see any movement from the leading Radical yet. The green flag is there. Here he comes. So I don't know if Chris, if there's any way you can tell when the car's moving what tyres he's got on, whether it's slicks or treaded.
No way to tell at the moment, but all the cars are rolling now just behind the safety car. The weather is still, the rain is still coming down, but thankfully there's no sign of hail or heaviness that there was earlier. But from the looks of things, most of the cars are using, I think, the tyres they were using in race number 1, so a combination of possible slicks and also the treaded competition tyres. So, but no usage of mainstay wet weather tyres as of yet.
Right. So I guess we'll find out pretty much as soon as the race starts, because the performance of the car, or the lack of grip on the car, will be very, very obvious as soon as we get going. Ron Cumming has made it out as well. He's got his headlights on as he comes into pit lane. He's going to be coming through from the back on a greasy track. That will be dramatic to watch. Ron Cumming quite often finds his way working through the traffic, either for position or lapping cars during a race, and so he's got to have a lot of work to do to get through from the back of the grid. On this one, there's a good size of grid this week for mod sports, so it's going to take all his concentration to safely get through that lot. So just been sent a wonderful picture by John Stewart, our resident photographer here, of Stuart Robb coming through Clark Corner with the inside wheel just lifted off the ground slightly, just a little bit of daylight underneath that inside front wheel as he came through. So he was pushing on during that 47-second lap. So safety car leading the cars round for this Mod Sports race. Once this race is done, we'll move on to the Scottish Legends final, and then we'll have the Classic Sports and Saloon Car race to finish off the afternoon. And I've just had the grid for the final sent to me by Andrew Donald for the Legends final, so we'll be able to give you that when the time comes. But meanwhile, let's hope we get a safe run through this Mod Sports race. Going to be a second warm-up lap or formation lap here as Paul Bryden comes into the pit lane. So I hope that's not a major problem for Paul. There are some wheels and tyres down. Yes, he's going to change tyres, I think. Yep. Now that car's got air jacks on board, so the compressed air bottle will be plugged into the back. The car will jump up into the air, and then it should be a reasonably quick tyre change. It's never going to be Formula 1 quick because there's not that many people around each car. But, well, they jacked the car up, they put it down again, so I'm not quite sure what the story is here.
Well, I think they lowered the jack. They just lowered the jacks, and it turns out they haven't got one of the wheels on, so they're raising the car back on the jacks. It was the left rear, I should say, that wasn't quite on the car. They're now getting that tyre on. They're doing the back tyres by the looks of it first. They'll then do the front tyres on this Scandinavian touring car BMW, and there's a nice little crowd that's gathered watching on. The weather continuing to steadily get more pronounced, but a bit of strategy being played out here in the garage here by Paul Bryden and his team. The wheel guns airing away there as they change tyres on the number 79 BMW. Yes,
that's an interesting decision for Paul Bryden. I think it's the right thing to do because the track is going to be wet through most of this race. But he did tell me, I was chatting to him briefly during the lunchtime grid walk, and he was telling me he hasn't driven that car in a wet race since 2019, so he's a little bit rusty on the wet weather driving. That's nearly 7 years since he last drove that car in a wet race. He's driven other cars in wet races since then, but that one, it's the first time since 2019. So team doing a flat out job trying to change tyres here. He won't be able to retake his grid position, of course, where he was to line up second, but he may have a significant advantage by being on the right tyre on the track at the right time. So that's the decision he's made, and let's hope if they can complete the tyre change quickly enough, he'll be able to join the race at the back of the field. I'm not sure if it's centre lock wheels on that car or 4 or 5 studs on the wheels, but there's a I think they're making good progress. They're just about going to get it done in time, I think. I can see by the hand gestures, I think they're ready to put the car down. Just about ready anyway. Windscreen wipers are on for Paul. So a big gap at the front of the field. Now, Radical is going to be very difficult to get off the line. Maybe a little bit easier on this greasy surface than normal, but because it will allow a little bit more wheel spin. And
Drama's in pit lane here. Sorry to cut in there. There's Dramas. They've got the Paul Bryden car moving down. The mechanics waving frantically. It turns out the air jack unit, they lowered the jacks, but the car has dragged the air bottle behind it in the pit lane. They've got it detached now, but thankfully the car was going to start from the pit lane anyway. But a bit of drama down here before this race goes, and no one else has come into the pits either. So Paul Bryden might actually have a very good strategy in play here for this wet race as it continues to get heavy rain-wise here at Knockhill for this final Modsports race.
Yep, nothing to beat being on the right tyres for the conditions. It's going to be a challenge for the other cars on the grid if any of them are still on slicks. But let's see what happens as they form up in the grid. I think we've just about everyone in. Green flag from the back of the grid, so we're just about ready for the off. This is going to be a very difficult and challenging race at the front of the field here. Let's see if the Radical of Mark Thompson can get off cleanly off the line, though. He's got a big gap behind him before you see the Adam Morrison Mini. So he's got a little bit of leeway to play with, so he should be able to lead into turn one. The question then is, does he have the tyres to allow him to actually turn the corner when he gets to the top of Duffus? 5-second board, and we'll find out in just a moment. Red lights coming on, and all the lights are on, and away we go. Good clean start from the front end of the grid. A very fast start from Fiona Kindness in the Subaru, four-wheel drive of course, and she tries to squeeze alongside Adam Morrison. It's going to be a very tight squeeze into turn one. She has to drop back to fourth position. The BMW M3 of Paul Smith is up into second position. Is he? Yes, he's having to defend from Adam Morrison, but he's retained second position. It's Mark Thompson from pole position is in the lead, and that's close. Paul Smith and Adam Morrison side by side as they approached Duffus. Morrison had to just lift off and let the BMW M3 through ahead of him, and Paul Bryden has taken to the track. He is now chasing the pack. We've got safety car boards already. Not quite sure what caused that. Interesting. Yep, safety car already. Although, yes, one or two drivers haven't realised safety car is there. Oh yes, it's Ron Cumming. Ron Cumming's car is off on the main straight, and something's happened to Ron. I don't know whether the car's just broken down or whether he's spun off the track into the infield there, but very odd. So Ron having a terrible day race-wise. He's this first race he was off on turn 3, and this race he's not even made it to turn 1. So the marshals are assisting there, trying to push the car back on the track, but safety car brings the race to slow speed. Now there's two cars that didn't see the safety car boards, and I've got ahead of Mark Thompson in the lead, so that's going to have to be sorted out later on. And that is Andrew Cowie and Michael Barden. Michael Barden certainly very late in seeing the safety car boards and was charging through, passing everybody in sight, and then realised Andrew Cowie much the same. So we'll need to see if there's any penalties applied to those two. They're probably not quick enough to stay in the top 2 or 3 anyway once the race is underway, but I'm not sure what they do now, the two drivers, because they will have realised their mistake, but obviously nobody else can overtake them because there's a safety car, so they can't kind of disappear back to their original positions. So, and it'll be very difficult for them to calculate how many places to give back if they were to give back any places. So they're going to be adjusted in the final results, put it that way. So the true leader of the race is Mark Thompson in Radical. Now this is actually not great news for Mark Thompson, slow laps like this, because any heat he would have got into the tyres is rapidly draining away. As Ron Cummings' car going to be put under tow to remove it from its position down there next to the wall, and hopefully it's a quick tow across the road into the pit lane, but we'll see. So another safety car lap at least, This is a timed race, of course, so it's a 12-minute plus 1 lap race. Now we've already used up 4 minutes, so let's hope we can keep things going. Yeah, one more car coming round. Behind the safety cars, there's one car that's detached from the back of the queue, just coming through the hairpin now, and as soon as he's through, then we should see Ron Cummings' car underway and hopefully quickly across the road to the pit lane. That's the last car through. And yep, Ron Cummings' car is not showing any signs of damage of having hit anything, so I think that's just some kind of mechanical failure on the line, maybe a broken drive shaft, something like that. But desperately unlucky for Ron. He's not had many racing laps today at all. So that means the safety car could be withdrawn fairly quickly. I don't know if they're keeping the lights on just now. So safety car lights still on. Marshals returning to their posts, and then we should be able to go racing again. So I think we might get one more safety car lap. So Ron Cummings' car back to pit lane. I don't know if we'll see him back out on track or not, or if it's a sufficient failure that he just won't be able to restart. Certainly no sign of any work going on around the car, so I think that's Ron done for the afternoon, very sadly. So one more safety car lap, and then we'll be back racing again, and somehow they're going to have to sort out the fact that there's 2 cars out of position that were late in seeing the safety car signals. But first, second and third, though, in reality are Mark Thompson, number 10, Paul Smith, number 46, who made an excellent start in his BMW M3. Then Adam Morrison, who pushed him and challenged him on the opening lap. Didn't manage to get through, though. But Fiona Kindness made a rapid start in her Subaru, and with the 4-wheel drive advantage, but just didn't have enough space on the track to get past the cars ahead. It was just too crowded for her. She had the speed to get past, but there just a gap in the traffic just didn't open up for her. So she ended up in 4th position. Immediately behind her on the road just now, we've got Rob Docherty, number 85, in his BMW, and Louise Strachan in her Mini, 9th on the road at the moment, but in reality 7th in the race, ahead of Michael Imrie's similar Mini. That's a good position for Michael Imrie. He's been a little bit further back usually in his Mini, but that's a good position for him. So safety car lights are now out, and as Alan Barron heads for cover on the stock car loop, we have Andrew Cowie, Michael Barron leading the race, but the real leader, Mark Thompson. He's going to have to pass them, though. And then the true order will be sorted out towards the end of the race by the timekeepers. And Adam Kindness really fancies his chances here of trying to pass Adam Morrison as they get alongside. And that's so... Now, there'll be some careful judgment needed as to who is obeying the rules on safety car restarts not. But let's not worry about that, because it's Mark... Thompson in the Radical seems to not have been able to get back up to speed at the restart, and the whole gaggle of cars are going past. Adam Kindness, most notably, he's now chasing down Andrew Cowie to try and take the lead at Butchers. Doesn't quite get through there, but he is now chasing after the Subaru along the back straight, ahead then of Michael Barron's Honda, and Adam Kindness takes the lead at Clark Corner. Then it's Cowie and Barron next up. Michael Barron moves to the side to let the M3 of Paul Smith go through. And Paul Smith now charging after Adam Kindness at the front of the field. Adam Morrison going with them as well, getting past Michael Barron. And here comes Paul Bryden. This is just fantastic stuff for Paul Bryden. He's carving his way through the field and arrives at the hairpin just on the tail of Mark Thompson, who's going mysteriously slowly. But Paul Bryden, with the advantage of full wet weather tyres, is making hay while the sun shines, which is a strange metaphor to use when it's raining. But he is charging along. He's got the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 4.666. And he He uses all the superior grip he's got. He's already cleared most of the midfield. He's now onto the tail of Michael Barron's Honda as they go down the hill towards Butchers. There's not enough physical space on the track for him to pass there, but he's way quicker. He's got so much more grip. As they exit the chicane, then he'll get Michael Barron easily on the next run towards Clark Corner, and he homes in now onto the back of Adam Morrison's Mini. It's Adam Morrison's Mini is in the real second place in the race behind Paul Smith's BMW M3. So it's going to be a factory M3 against a hybrid sort of design of M3, a mid-engined silhouette Formula M3. Paul Bryden charges now into the hairpin. Round he goes. He leaves Adam Morrison comfortably behind him, and he's now on the chase of Adam Kindness, who's doing well to hold on in the lead with 3 minutes to go in the race. This is where it gets interesting because of the safety car intervention. We only have 3 minutes of racing left on the clock. And Paul Bryden now challenging Paul Smith in his conventional BMW M3 and gets straight past him on the exit at McIntyre's, no problem at all. Now he's got to catch Adam Kindness, and Adam Kindness is charging well onto two wheels through the chicane there. Down the straight they go towards Clark Corner. Paul Bryden's car with more power closes the gap. Now, can he get past in the last remaining 2.5 minutes of the race? Headlights on, windscreen wipers going as Paul Bryden cruises past Adam Kindness and takes the lead of the race. What a fantastic decision he made to stop for those wet weather tyres, and he charges on into the lead of the race with 2 minutes 11 seconds to go in a race which is scheduled to last 12 minutes plus 1 lap. So he's got 2 minutes plus 1 lap left. He has passed everybody. He's in the lead. That was brilliant decision and brilliant driving. Now we're left with the battle for second place, though. So Adam Kindness has never managed to escape fully from the attentions of Paul Smith. So Paul Smith still within a couple of car lengths of Adam Kindness as they came down through Leslie's. The gap has stretched a bit as they go down towards Butchers. But Paul Bryden comfortably in front now. And Paul Bryden's last lap was a 59.179. 59.179 in streaming wet conditions. He is absolutely charging. Now he's got to the front, he's lifted off a bit. I'm assuming he's now going to cruise as opposed to anything going wrong with the car at this stage with 1 minute 21 left on the clock. But the battle behind is not over. There are certain sections of track where Paul Smith gets really close to the back of Adam Kindness's car. And then certain sections where Adam Kindness just moves away. So that's an interesting battle to watch. We then got Adam Morrison in fourth, a lonely fourth place. He's not quite got the pace in these conditions of the two cars ahead of him. Normally in the dry he would be pretty much on pace with those two, but in these conditions he's not quite there. But he's certainly fast enough to stay ahead of Michael Barron. Fiona Kindness is next up in sixth position. Very lonely for her. She could look ahead on the straight, see nothing ahead of her. She could look in her mirror and see nothing behind her, such as the gap. Now, that looks like Louise Strachan's Mini has stopped on the outside of the hairpin. Yep, very unlucky for Louise. That's her getting out the car. So the car is stuck there. I don't know if it's jammed in gear or something, seized, but she can't move it, obviously, so that's stuck on the outside of the hairpin. So that'll be a yellow flag there for the remainder of the race. The remainder of the race is 12 seconds and 1 lap as Paul Bryden completes another lap, and the red flag is out. Red flag has been shown, and that will be, I would imagine, because of Louise Strachan's car being trapped there. Rather than go to safety car, they might as well red flag it now, because that would not affect what the finishing result will be. So a fairly dramatic incident-packed Modsports race. I think they got less than 50% of the time actually racing, but fantastic to watch though, and what a fantastic decision by Paul Bryden. Bit of a drama in the pit lane there, but he made absolutely the right call, and brilliant, thoroughly well-deserved victory. So he wins Class A2. There was only him and Ron Cumming in Class A2, but he wins Class A2. So 79 Paul Bryden first overall, 155 Adam Kindness was second, and Paul Smith number 46 was third. Adam Kindness wins Class D, Paul Smith wins Class C. Class B was won by Fiona Kindness, car 55. She finished sixth overall. Class E provisionally won by Andrew Cowie, who finished 9th overall in car 23, but he may have a penalty heading his way because of the safety car. And Michael Imrie then wins Class G in car 14 in 10th overall. I think that's all the classes. Andrew Patterson, number 69, he wins Class E in his BMW 318 IS. And yes, I think I've gone through pretty much the whole alphabet. I think I've covered all the classes there. So that's the key results. So Paul Bryden 79 ahead of Adam Kindness 155 and Paul Smith 46.
Well, the cars now just coming in to the victory circle area, including all the class winners. And what a dramatic and frenetic mod sports race that was. That was genuinely one of the most exciting races of the weekend, in my view. Absolute drama, even pit lane drama as well. But the drive of the day, if there was such a prize, has to go to the driver of number 79, that is Paul Bryden, who is still in traffic, I think, at the moment as the rest of the field comes in. What a drive that was from Paul Bryden in that Scandinavian touring car BMW. I can just see him coming into my eye line now behind a small procession of minis with the number 155 car of Adam Kindness behind him. This is going to be a mega interview, I think, with him as he comes into what would have been first place. He pulls into the second place grid slot. That's because there are other cars in the other boarding slots. But Paul Bryden, number 1 overall, and what a drive that was. He just takes a moment to unbuckle himself from the car, get himself relaxed a bit. His mechanics there are on the side, ready to cheer him on, and very well deservedly as well, especially with all the drama they had in the pit lane on those warm-up laps. So Paul Bryden just gently and casually getting his helmet off. And I'll have a quick word with Adam Kindness here, finishing second overall. Adam, brilliant result there, but the conditions out there were just something else.
The conditions weren't actually too bad in this, but I had no idea what was going on with the safety car restart and everything else. It was people were braking going over the control line when you should be accelerating. So I don't know.
Well, it was a fantastic race anyway, Adam, and congratulations on second place.
Thank you. First in class, second overall.
Yeah, first in class as well, second overall. And Paul Bryden, just going to get a quick word with him. Paul, drive of the day that was, a pit stop call. I mean, the whole thing, even the dramas in the pit stop, it felt like a DTM race, and yet you came out on top with what has to be one of the finest drives of the weekend.
Well, that's the first time. Well, I normally do all the work on the car, but I said to them I'll make a call on the first lap, come in. So I told each one what to do, but I'm looking at my now and I've got the tyres in the wrong way. So they're meant to be on backwards. You've got the wheels on backwards.
Well, even with backwards tyres, you certainly managed to pull off an excellent drive. I mean, you just sived through the field out there.
Yeah, it's good. I like the wet. I mean, well, you race at Knockhill, it's wet all the time, you know. You get used to it.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations there, Paul. Paul Bryden, our winner overall, and absolutely dominate. A fantastic performance. Third place, car number 46, Paul Smith. Paul, it's 2 BMWs in the top 3 places, but your perspective on the weather conditions and the Silhouette touring car just blitzing the opposition.
Yeah, I think he might have made a quick tyre change there maybe or something like that. So yeah, his pace was pretty ridiculous. I was obviously on intermediate, so yeah, I just decided to let him through. And I think I didn't have quite long enough time to catch Adam Kindness there. Another couple of laps, I was just starting to find the groove, but obviously another red flag. So, but a brilliant race all the same.
Absolutely. Congratulations there, Paul. And that concludes this weekend's action from the KMSC Mod Sports Championship. An absolutely epic finale. A couple of cars even showing a few battle scars in the victory area. But Paul Bryden, the star of the show in race 3. The weather is starting to rain heavily again, and we're now ready for the final race of the Scottish Legends Championship. That's coming up in just a few moments' time. And boy, oh boy, if the Mod Sports final was something special in the wet, I can only imagine what the Legends are going to be like.
Well, Ben Mason's rain dance has certainly been working because, as you say, the rain is coming back towards us again. There is a brighter patch of sky following though, so I don't think this rain's going to last for too long. Then we'll be into drier weather again, but it'll take a while for the track to dry. But 32 Legends is going to dry off fairly quickly, but they're not in the holding area yet, so we'll have a few minutes before they arrive here ready for action. So we're going to have this Legends final coming up next over 10 laps, and then we'll have the Scottish Classic Sports and Saloon final race as well. We're running about 22 minutes early on the schedule, so that's probably why we've got no Legends in the holding area so far. There's a difficult balance for race control here because obviously you've got to give a fair chance for people who have damaged cars to get them repaired and things in time for the next race. And if you call the race 20 minutes early, there might be one or two people might miss out. But at the same time, the regulations always state that race times may alter and you just need to be ready or be disappointed. So we'll see what transpires here. But the order is expected to be Legends, then Classics. So one of the classic cars just being sent away from the holding area. So I don't know if he's arrived earlier or what happened there, but there's no sign of the Legends yet though. But the Legends racing so far has been outstanding, and Michael Weddle winning the second heat there, making the most of a pole position draw on the grid. And managing to maintain the lead all the way through. Ben Mason coming up to third position, so he's been consistently there. Well, first and third are his two race results so far. And then we will have, I can see a couple of Legends moving in the paddock, so we're starting to get towards gathering in the holding area. I can see Harry Irvin's car just moved through there. And yep, cars now starting to appear in front of you, Chris. So it'll take a little while to get to the 32 cars in there, but expecting a fantastic race for this. As usual, of course, it's the least points scoring driver of the day at the front and the highest point scorer at the back, which puts Ben Mason at the back of the grid for the race we're about to see. So, but he loves the wet, so we'll see him climbing through the field in a kind of Paul Bryden-esque way, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to this final. The first car is just coming into the assembly area now. I just see car number 12 there, Colin Reid, who has just pulled in. I also see car number 2, David Allen. He was one of the cars that had problems in race 2, so expect him to come charging through the order. Number 44 as well, also pulling in. That is the team car of Harry Irvine there. And also seeing number 6 pulling in as well. That's another of the Atkinson cars. That's Gary Atkinson pulling in, and also going to check all the tyres out on these cars. They do run groove tyres in the Legends Championship, and so it shouldn't be too much of a problem in terms of weather conditions. Just going to have a quick word with Colin Reid just now, and Colin, it's been a day where the weather's pretty much been the talk of the town, and with the final coming up, it's really hammering its point home by the sounds of it.
Yeah, looking forward to a wet race, to be honest with you. Needing some more experience in the wet, so this is me, my sort of last race as a rookie, hopefully. So yeah, looking forward to it.
And also this is a sort of reverse points race as well, with the least point scoring cars start up front. So that really gives a whole new dynamic to the race, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it makes it more interesting, and yeah, it's working your way through the packs. Good fun, entertaining.
Absolutely. Well, good luck out there.
Thank you very much.
So car number 12, that is Colin Reid in the Cross Garage Stonehouse backed machine. Ben Mason is now in Parc Ferme. Michael Weddle's car pulling up just in front of his. And I'm really interested actually to see if his rain dance routine has indeed proven to be successul here. If indeed he has actually done a rain dance, if I'm honest. Ben, great to have you back on the grid again, and by the way the weather's going, I think you may have done a couple of rain dances in the offing.
I did. No, I was doing it outside the awning there, but yeah, no, just obviously we're starting quite near the back for this one, so it's going to be entertaining. Just hopefully we can get a nice kind of clear few laps without any incidents, and then we'll just go from there.
Absolutely, and of course the mod sports just went out first, and there was an awful lot of spray being kicked up by those cars. Do you feel that might have helped out in terms of the track conditions?
I think so, yeah. I think well, you don't want too much spray so you can't see where you're going, especially at the start of the race. It's just you just can't see where you're going. All you can see is a little glowing light from the car in front of you. So yeah, hopefully not too much spray, but just wet enough to kind of have a good race.
Absolutely. Well, good luck out there, Ben.
Very nice. Cheers, thank you.
So that was Ben Mason, our defending champion there. So he's one of the wet weather experts in this field, so expect him to do very well in this 10-lap final. Angus Scrivener is another driver who's been impressing all through the weekend. And Angus, you've been putting on some real good shows out there again today, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been a really good day so far. Hoping to carry that through to the final, so yeah.
Of course, the weather as well has been a bit topsy-turvy as well, but I suppose driving a Legend must be much more preferable than driving a go-kart, because when you're driving a go-kart in weather like this, it's not exactly the most pleasant thing in the world, is it?
Yeah, it wasn't the best, but I'm glad I've got a box to cover me in here, so in both conditions I'm really enjoying it, so yeah, it's good.
But the cars behind that gap are Murray Scott, 51, Michael Weddle, 77, Matthew Pape, 24, and Ben Mason, number 1. All 4 of these drivers have the speed and the winning potential in the mid-pack, as well as Mark Beattie as well, so make that 5 drivers in the mid-pack with winning potential. Long story short, this final is set to be, I feel, one of the most epic we've seen thus far in the 2026 season, and we're only in the second stop of the tour.
Yeah, it's the great thing about Legends is it's designed that way. It's going to keep the drama to the end with the quickest or the most successful drivers of the day. Not necessarily always the quickest, but the most successful drivers of the day down in the midfield. They've got to fight their way through to the front, so really looking forward to this. And just ahead of Mark Beattie, who you talked about there, Chris, Max Populescu, number 95, is in the mix there as well with Colin Atkinson. So it's a real group of talented drivers at the back end of the main field there. And then a few other stars sprinkled through. Dan Clark's had a terrible day, a terrible weekend in fact with his car, so he finds himself up on the 4th row, right behind his wife. Elby Clark there is on the 3rd row of the grid. Now Elby, we saw yesterday, getting so close to a podium finish, starting up near the front in the final. She's not that far off the front in this final as well, so she could do something special from there actually. From 6th on the grid, she could hang on at the front end of the pack for quite some way through this race. Another potential podium beckons there. We'll give you the full grid just now actually while they're forming up. Pole position, the least fortunate driver of the day. In fact, I don't see his car there yet, but hopefully he is going to manage to get here. Pole position is due to be Declan Burke in car 48, and alongside him the white 78 car of David Heaton. On the 2nd row, 127 Phil Rowlands, that's one of the Clark racing cars, alongside Ronald Wilkinson in number 17. On the 3rd row, we've got Keith Atkinson, 733, and Elby Clark, number 15. 7th and 8th, we've got 555, Ewan Robertson in the Duracell car, alongside Dan Clark in car 14. On the 5th row, we've got Nick Bridgman in the blue, number 68, and Stuart McAndrew in the grey, number 55 car. He was towed in from the chicane at the last race, so let's hope that car is in working order and able to take its position. 11th and 12th, we've got Grant Hunter, 27, and Gary Atkinson in number 6. Nick Whiteleg in the red, number 67, lines up 13th alongside Carlos Perez in the purple 305 car. Jamie Blake next up in 97, he's 15th on the grid alongside Scott Smith in the blue number 13 car. 17th and 18th, Colin Atkinson in the green number 9 and Max Populescu in the red 95 car. On the 10th row, we've got 51 Murray Scott and Mark Beattie in the green 85 car. Then behind them, Matthew Pape in the black and silver car with the orange number 24 on the door. He's 21st. 22nd is Michael Weddle in the 77 car. Ben Mason, then reigning champion, lines up at the back of the main field in 23rd position, ahead of the rookies, which are headed by Richard Dunbar in 24th in car number 5, Harry Irvin 44, and Aidan McAndrew Dowen number 430, they're 25th and 26th. 27th and 28th is Darrell Laws number 236 and Colin Reid number 12, and the last of the rookies, 29th position is Angus Scrivener. Off the back, we've then got Alistair Calderwood at 66, and we're also showing David Allen and Bill Reid, numbers 2 and 333, potentially starting at the back of the grid as well. I'm not sure if they've turned up, but they have the option to be starting 31st and 32nd as well. So that is the running order. In fact, the reason those two will be at the back, or the reason car number 2 is right at the back, is because of a penalty for a safety car infringement on car number 2, David Allen. So he got dropped to the back after the last race. So that is the grid order. Going to be a fascinating race. There's all the ingredients of Legends Racing are there. We've got the mixed grid. We've got some really talented young drivers at the back. We've got everything to play for. One or two quick drivers up near the front who've just had an unlucky weekend, and all being well can take advantage of that grid position for the final. So, really looking forward to this, and we shall have things underway just in a few moments. I think the track is clear. There's a little bit more rain coming towards us, I think, but I think the track is clear enough that we can go racing. All the marshals are at their posts, having done a great job today in difficult conditions, keeping things going to the point that we're running somewhat ahead of schedule. And I think we've got everybody there in the holding area now. Might be one or two gaps there, but I think, Chris, you'll be able to see it better than me. But one or two cars still to arrive, but I think we've just about got them all there.
Yeah, I can see the number 55 car now just pulling in to the assembly area. That car is the Stuart McAndrew machine, one of the silver or dark grey coloured machines. But a very, very strong lineup once again. Pretty much the full field now on the in the assembly area. David Headen's car, number 78, on pole position. The car actually strikes me, the livery on that car strikes me almost a bit like, if anyone's ever heard of Herbie, the little VW Beetle with the number 53 on the side, that's what the livery looks like. It's got that sort of Herbie-esque cream white with the blue stripe and blue numbering on the side of it. It's a very distinctive car on that one. And David Headen, of course, very busy with Caterhams and even the Northern Saloons and Sports Car Championship as well. So great to have him back in the paddock and starting on pole position. A possible good result for him, but this field is stacked full of driving talent, and with the weather still playing its trump card, anything can happen over the next 10 laps.
Yeah, well, David Headen's sitting on pole because he's inherited that through the absence of Declan Burke, who officially should be on pole in the number 48 car, but no sign of him turning up at this stage. Now, I think you mentioned, Chris, at the beginning of the last race, he came straight into pit lane, didn't actually take the start.
Yeah, well, actually, he was in the pit lane as the cars were lined up 2 by 2, but then as they were about to roll out onto the tarmac out of the pit lane, his car veered off. He turned his car off into one of the pit lane parking points, which normally the touring cars park up in, and was basically parked up there and then had to go back to the Parc Ferme area and paddock area. So troubles there for 48, and by the sounds of it, possibly even terminal.
Yeah, so that gives the advantage to David Headen. He'll be on his own on the front row. Phil Rowlands will have an empty piece of racetrack in front of him in the 127 car, and Ronald Wilkinson then joining him on the second row. So unfortunate for Declan Burke then, his chance to be at the front of the field and make up for an earlier disappointment has evaporated by the looks of it, because I suspect we'll have these cars out very soon onto the racetrack. So I think, other than Declan Burke, I think we've, and possibly Bill Reid, I don't see the orange 333 car of Bill Reid there either. He would be right at the very back if he's made it to the grid at all. But it doesn't appear to be. So that's the couple that I can see might be missing at this stage. But that aside, I think we should be just about good to go. So we do have, we are running 8 minutes ahead of schedule. So that's why I think they're giving maximum time. If there are cars in the paddock still being repaired, I think they're giving maximum time for those repairs to be done before we then set off for the final 10-lap dash to see who's going to finish the day on top. So we've got possibly a slight let up in the rain at the moment, so we might be lucky with this. They might not be sent out into pouring rain. They'll be sent out onto a wet track, that's for sure. But it might not actually be raining when they get out there.
Well, as we're waiting for the cars to get sent out on track, I'm going to get one more quick word with one of our drivers, number 236. That is Darrell Laws, one of the Clark Motorsport entries. And in fact, having said that, no, actually, just as I was about to say, the safety car lights are on and the cars now begin to roll out for this 10-lap final. The rain is abating, but the track is going to be very, very wet indeed.
Yeah, so the cars will do the usual forming up in the pit lane, race receivers checked, and on they go. So sadly for Declan Burke, he's not going to be able to take the start of this one in the 48 car, and so he misses out on a potential pole position. So had a bit of a day of bad luck for Declan. So cars streaming through. I can see pretty much everybody else is there. Michael Weddle going through now. He's 22nd on the grid for this, just ahead of Matthew Pape. Those two have both won races this weekend, as has Ben Mason, who's sitting just behind them. So watch those three, see how quickly they come through the pack. The other man to watch, of course, as we've mentioned, is Angus Scrivener. He is getting that car so many places further up the field from his starting positions at the back, and he's managing to keep it out of contact and out of trouble with any other cars. He's doing a fantastic job. And when you see the time it takes the likes of a Ben Mason or Matthew Paper or Michael Weddle to get through, he's actually getting through the field as quick as they are, if not quicker than they are. It really is a tremendous impact he's had on the Legends Racing Championship in just his first two race meetings. So fingers crossed. Let's hope I haven't put the commentator's curse on him, and let's see how he gets on in this one. But yeah, mega talent there in the 94 car. So, and all of the rookies actually have done tremendously well. They've all managed to finish all the races so far in the season, as far as I can tell. And this is the race where if they finish cleanly in this one, then they are no longer rookies. This is the 12th race. So if they get through this unscathed, then they'll no longer be rookies. So with that, we'll put the signature tune on because they're about to go out on their formation lap. field around, and they will go into race mode once they pass the start finish line and the lights go from red to off. And on the second row, Phil Rowlands in the 127 car has the inside, and Ronald Wilkinson on 17 on the outside. Both cars, as far as I can see from the commentary box, identical, so it's going to be almost impossible to tell which one of those is in which position as they head into the first few corners, so I'll apologise for getting that wrong before we even start. David Heaton then in front, he has to control the pace of the pack, and Phil Rowlands taking maximum advantage of the fact there's a blank space on the row in front of him, so he's pushing the rules to the limit there, put it that way. But away we go, the red lights go out. A brilliant start from Bridgman in the blue Cresta racing car. He gets up alongside David Heaton to challenge for the lead as they go into turn one. Nick Bridgman, round the outside goes the 17 car of Ronald Wilkinson. Ronald Wilkinson in the lead as they come through Leslie's. He's side by side with David Heaton. David Heaton challenging up the inside of McIntyre's, but it's number 17 Wilkinson who just about hangs it together coming out of McIntyre's, but he's been severely delayed and he drops the fourth, blocking the and he spun in fact at Butchers. Luckily he spun off of the circuit into the gravel at Butchers, and he's going to be able to drive back out of it if he's not too ambitious with do the donuts in the gravel, but he's got himself going again, so no harm done there as it's and a car straight off into the gravel at Clark Corner. That's one of the Clark cars, in fact. I can't tell which one from here. I think it might have been Elby, but it was in fact Elby, so that means Dan Clark up to fourth, but challenging for the lead now is Grant Hunter in the 27 car as they go into the hairpin for the first time. As Grant Hunter 27 is in front, and I think that's Scott Smith next up behind him. We'll have to have a closer look. No, it's Nick Bridgman, the 68 car, and he's side by side with Grant Hunter to cross the line. David Heaton in third position, Dan Clark in fourth, and then it's the number 6 of Gary Atkinson next up in fifth position as they cross the line. And into Duffus to go for the second time, and it is the blue car of Nick Bridgman that's leading the race. 68 car then heads the field as they go down towards Butchers up through the chicane. Grant Hunter much quicker through the chicane, can't quite get past though, but he's onto the back bumper of the leader. In third place still is Dan Clark in kind of no man's land there. And then the rest of the pack, place swapping at the front of the rest of the pack. That's one of the green Atkinson cars. And spinner in the middle of the road. That's Scott Smith has spun in the middle of the road, exiting Clark Corner. Cars going at various places in avoidance. And he just misses by a fraction of a millimetre. He just misses collecting the 555 car of Ewan Robertson, the Duracell car coming through. That was the nearest miss I have seen all weekend. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, somehow Dan Clark has got through into the lead ahead of Nick Bridgman and Grant Hunter, the three of them in a cluster as they go under the Beatson's Bridge. Any one of the three of them could lead through turn one, but it's Dan Clark that has the lead from Bridgman and Hunter as they go down the hill. Then in fourth place is Gary Atkinson in the number 6 car ahead of 305 Carlos Perez. But the leading the 4th, 5th, 6th men have got well spread out. The leading three still together as they head down through Butchers and up towards the chicane. Now let's see what everyone else has got to. Ben Mason now up to 8th place. Angus Scrivener right with him in the 94 car, already in the top 10 from 29th on the grid after just 2 laps. That's an incredible drive by Scrivener and incredible drive by Mason to get that far so quickly. Ben Mason then through Clark Corner. He's chasing down his next target, which will be Mark Beattie in the green car, and Murray Scott just ahead of him. Murray Scott challenging Carlos Perez to go into the top 5 if he can. If he gets this done, Murray Scott will go into 5th position. Meanwhile, Angus Scrivener is overtaking Ben Mason into the hairpin. Angus Scrivener moves ahead of Ben Mason to go through the hairpin. Mason gets a better drive out on the outside line though and moves back ahead of Scrivener. Scrivener already ahead of Mark Beattie. That's an astounding drive. Carlos Perez and Murray Scott side by side ahead of that pair though, and they are going to be challenging each other under braking going into Duffus, and it's Murray Scott that sweeps round the outside line and heads Carlos Perez down the hill towards McIntyre's. The battle continuing down there with Ben Mason and Angus Scrivener. Angus Scrivener moves up ahead of another car. I think that's Carlos Perez. They've both got past now, and Ben Mason onto the tail of the number 51 car. That's Murray Scott. The leading three still together. It's Bridgman now back in front. Or is it in front? It's still Daniel Clark in front. Bridgman up into second position ahead of the 27 car of Grant Hunter. And then Gary Atkinson. Now it gets interesting because here comes Scrivener, who set the fastest lap of the race. He's challenging Murray Scott round the inside of the hairpin. Meanwhile, Ben Mason's challenging on the outside of the hairpin. And Ben Mason gets back in front of Angus Scrivener again and onto the tail of Murray Scott. But the two of them pushing very hard indeed. And Murray Scott is going to lose a place here as Ben Mason dives down the inside going into Duffus. Scrivener doesn't quite have the speed to follow him through, but he's right onto the tail of Murray Scott as they head down towards McIntyre's. Up the inside of McIntyre's goes Scrivener. This is a phenomenal drive. He's ahead of Murray Scott now, and Dan Clark still leads the race, so he's building a nice lead for himself. 2.1 seconds it was last lap. Scrivener has the fastest lap of the race, a 66.519, but Daniel Clark leading from Nick Bridgman and Grant Hunter, but Ben Mason has caught them. Gary Atkinson's in the mix there as well. Ben Mason's passed Gary Atkinson, moves into fourth, and is now on the tail of Murray Scott. Scrivener trying to follow through ahead of Gary Atkinson. It's a very tough overtake for Scrivener this time onto the very wet patch going into the hairpin, but he's got it done. He's ahead of Gary Atkinson, and he is just following Ben Mason through the field here as Ben Mason gets ahead of Murray Scott now coming at the hairpin. We've got 5 laps to go as they cross the line now. Nick Bridgman now is the next target for Ben Mason. This is a phenomenal drive by both these guys, Ben Mason and Angus Scrivener, as they carve their way through the field. They're just on a different planet performance-wise to everybody else. Ben Mason now has the fastest lap of 66.124. And Nick Bridgman now trying to hold off Angus Scrivener, but Scrivener quicker through the run to Butchers, but has to lift off sensibly as they approached the dip at Butchers. He wasn't going to take a mega risk there and try and go side by side with Nick Bridgman. That's lost him a little bit of time compared with Ben Mason, and he's having to follow Nick Bridgman along the back straight towards Clark Corner. Murray Scott fancies his chances of driving around the outside of Clark's. Didn't work for him though. Tries the inside as they come onto the straight. Hislops doesn't work for him either. Here comes Scrivener though. He's got a good toll from Nick Bridgman. Nick Bridgman leaves just enough space for one legend to get down the inside there into the hairpin, and Scrivener gets through into the top 4. Meanwhile, already we've got Dan Clark battling against tail-enders. Dan Clark lapping tail-enders, I should say, and he goes through to start another lap with a 3.3 second advantage over Ben Mason. And the incredible Angus Scrivener from 29th on the grid is now in 3rd position. That is an astonishing performance, and he's still got 4 laps to go, so let's see what he can do. He and Ben Mason have been trading fastest laps all the way through the race. At the moment, the fastest laps is with Ben Mason, but they're both on relatively clear track at the moment as they go onto the back straight. But the top 3 now reasonably spread out as they, with a second or so between each car as they head out onto Hislops once again. The 55 car, I think it is, that's running just ahead of them. Actually, no, I spotted the wrong car. Right, it's Dan Clark coming at the hairpin in the lead, Ben Mason in second, and Angus Scrivener is right in his wheel tracks. He's not giving anything to the reigning champion. Dan Clark then, it was 3.3 seconds, it's now 2.8. Scrivener sets another fastest lap of 65.087. That is over a second quicker than anybody else has gone in this race. That's an astonishing lap. What a drive. Daniel Clark then ahead of Ben Mason and Angus Scrivener as they head down through McIntyre's, and Scrivener is not letting Ben Mason get away from him at all as Daniel Clark comes up to lap Alistair Calderwood on the back straight, easily gets past him. Calderwood giving him plenty of space to do so. Yellow flags at Clark Corner, though. We've got a car off. It's the 55 car is off on the left hand side of the road, just pulled over, and the driver out the car to watch the race. He is pulled over on the left hand side of the road at halfway along Hislops. Meanwhile, the Ben Mason Angus Scrivener battle continues. Ben Mason washing a little bit wide at the hairpin that time through, but not enough of an error to let Scrivener go through. Or he may have just been taking the wetter line through the corner just to to maximise grip, which sometimes is an advantage. But here comes Scrivener and Ben Mason. They're side by side as they go towards Duffus, and Angus Scrivener goes through into second position from 29th on the grid. Down they go towards McIntyre. It's the reigning champion he's just overtaken in the rain. And down they go towards Butchers. Ben Mason sneaks by on the way through Butchers. That was a brave move. Very well executed by Ben Mason. He goes back into second place. And Scrivener has to settle again for third as they both. And Scrivener retakes Ben Mason on the run to Clark Corner. What a battle. This is fantastic stuff. And up through Clark Corner they come. And Ben Mason will get a great tow along there towards the hairpin though. So that will probably mean he's going to get back ahead of Scrivener, but Scrivener will see him coming, and they both, if they work together, they've got 1.5 laps left to try and catch Dan Clark. And Dan Clark is coming into the picture here. He was 3 seconds ahead last time through of Ben Mason. This time, let's see what it is. It's has it come down at all? It's 2.5 seconds. I don't think the race is going to be long enough to get Angus Scrivener and Ben Mason onto the tail of Dan Clark. But what a performance by both of them. That's an incredible race. They've got 1 lap to go. I should actually mention some of the other people who are still on the track racing, of course. That leading battle has kind of taken my attention. But Murray Scott is holding on in 4th position ahead of Matthew Pape and Nick Bridgman. Ahead of Grant Hunter 27 and Dave Allen number 2. That's the top 8 cars at the moment. Quite a battle going on actually behind them, and I can see one car dropping down the order there rapidly out of that group. I think that's a car being lapped actually. Meanwhile, let's watch the leading 3 coming home to the end of the race. We've got Dan Clark heading along his laps. Angus Scrivener at the moment is ahead of Ben Mason. Will Ben Mason try a lunge on the final corner of the final lap? I don't think he's going to. I think we're going to see the top 3 as they are. We've got Daniel Clark then. He's going to be delighted to take a win. He's had such a tough weekend. He's got the win. Angus Scrivener from 29th on the grid, a rookie driver, and he's taken 2nd place overall. That is an astonishing performance. Absolutely brilliant by Angus Scrivener, and he's beaten the reigning champion Ben Mason in a straight fight on a wet track to get there. That's an incredible performance. Ben Mason then 3rd in car number 1. Murray Scott 51 comes home 4th ahead of Matthew Pape 24 and Grant Hunter 27th. Then we had David Allen number 2 coming home 7th ahead of Nick Bridgman number 68 in 8th position. Then 9th and 10th were Carlos Perez 305 and Gary Atkinson number 6. So your top 3 then: Daniel Clark number 14, 94 Angus Scrivener, and number 1 Ben Mason. Daniel Clark winning by just 1.3 seconds at the end. If there'd been one more lap, they'd have been on top of each other at the end, and who knows who'd have won it. But 1.3 second gap at the end. Angus Scrivener set the fastest lap, a 65.087. And looking down the list, Ben Mason did a 66.027, so it's just under a second slower, and nobody else is anywhere close to that pace. Angus Scrivener by about 0.9 of a second, the fastest man on track. That's astonishing performance. So we've got a real talent emerging here in Scottish Legends, and from next race meeting, of course, Angus will be able to start in the main field as opposed to on the rookie grid. And I can see an upset to the established order coming our way very quickly. That is a young man who's going to be winning races before you know it. Fantastic stuff. So Daniel Clark, Angus Scrivener, Ben Mason, they will be with you just any moment, Chris.
Indeed they will be. Clark, Scrivener and Mason. Those are the surnames to remember very, very much heading into the next round of the Scottish Legends Championship. And all 3 lining up here in Victory Circle for the final time in the Scottish Legends Championship. Round 2 of the series is now concluded. The 6th race of the weekend has been finalised, and it is a tremendous order and a fantastic finish to a truly phenomenal race here at a very wet but exciting Knockhill racing circuit. Angus Scrivener, the driver of the day, if not the whole weekend in this field, gets a congratulations there from David Allen in car number 2. Dan Clark wins the final here at Knockhill. I'm going to get a quick word with him now. Dan, It was wet, it was wild, but you came through on top. Your perspective of that one?
Yeah, I mean, I started at the front anyhow, but I just thought I need to hit the front and go because I know Ben and everybody else is going to come through. So yeah, all right.
Looking forward to the next one, especially with the touring cars on the horizon?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're going to build the other car up because I think this one's got an issue, but yeah, looking forward to that.
Congratulations there, Dan Clark there, winner of race number 1. And the driver of the weekend, our rookie sensation, Angus Scrivener, from 29th on the grid to 2nd place. Angus, your perspective on that one, because you were battling it out with some true titans of the Legends world out there.
Yeah, what a race, man. Just, wow. Yeah, I'm speechless. So.
Alton Park coming up very soon. You're looking forward to that one?
Yeah, never been, so got a whole Friday to get used to the track, so yeah. And I'll be off the novice plate, so yeah, I'll be good.
Absolutely, congratulations there. Angus Scrivener, fantastic result for him. And Ben Mason, a strong 3rd position, but you and Angus were just trading places all through the remainder of the race there. Your perspective on that was just mega.
Yeah, he's one to watch for the future for sure. Great race, good start, kind of cleanish start for everyone, and then just case of picking them off one by one kind of thing. And Dan was just, obviously, he was near the front to start, so he was kind of gone. So we were slowly catching him towards the end. But on a whole, like say, a car's in one piece, which is more we could say this time yesterday. So I'm happy with that.
Absolutely, congratulations there. And now it's time for the final podium presentation here in the Scottish Legends Championship. We start from 3rd to 1st, and in 3rd place it is our defending champion, Ben Mason, taking a strong 3rd position once again in the wet. 2nd place, the rookie sensation and one to watch heading into Alton Park, Angus Scrivener. Congratulations to him, 1st podium of the season, and very much someone who has graduated from his rookie standing. And finally, taking the top step of the podium, Dan Clark, driver of car number 14. A very strong way to end his weekend as we head to Alton Park and supporting the British Touring Car Championship. That concludes the Legends for the weekend. We'll see them next time at Alton Park in support of the British Touring Car Championship, and I will definitely be looking forward to that one because I'm going to be attending it and giving these guys all the support that they deserve, and I'm sure the touring car fans as well will be doing just the same. However, it's not the end of the weekend though. We have one more race to go. It is the final for the Scottish Classics and Historic Mod Sports, and we have the David Leslie Trophy and a couple of other prestigious awards up for grabs in this 2nd race.